What are you saying, people? Welcome back to my channel. And we're only 6 days away. 6 days away from the North London derby. And 5 days away from this. Be positive. From this international break. A pointless, a silly, meaningless non-entity of an international break for UEFA Nations League ending. But that's another story. But there's still always lots to talk about with Arsenal. So in my last video, I was talking about positives for Arsenal, right? And today's video is going to be a bit different. I actually wanted to assess the squad. Do Arsenal have a squad that can compete for the title? Do we have a squad that on paper is better than the squad we had last year that only came up short by, what was it, like a point, 2 points on the final day? Well, let's take a look. So one thing I've heard doing the rounds basically is that, oh, well, yeah, Arsenal, we look a little short on numbers in comparison to last season. The transfer window's been a nightmare, all of this sort of stuff. And it's interesting because there's always furor is like uproar. There's always something about Arsenal. If you actually look at our first 3 games, so we this season compared to last season, we actually have the same level of points. But arguably, you say we've gotten it playing harder opposition, right? So our first 3 games of the season, last season, we got 7 points. And we drew 2-2 at home to Fulham. Decent team, but at the time we're not doing anything special. We beat Crystal Palace away 1-0 clean sheet, where Tomiyasu got that stupid red. So actually, there's so many similarities. In our first 3 games of the season, this season, we've also gotten a silly red that on another day is not a red, but anywho. So you had the Tomiyasu red card against Crystal Palace. He got sent off. We still beat him 1-0, and then we beat Nottingham Forest 2-1, opening game of the season. Should have battered them, but somehow we only scored 2 and we end up conceding 1. Whereas you compare that to this season, we've conceded 1 goal in 3 as opposed to 3 in 3 at this stage last season, arguably playing harder opposition. I don't know about you, but Aston Villa away, leaving there with 2-0 is a tougher trip away than Crystal Palace away. I don't know about you, but Nottingham Forest at home Wolves at home, is a much harder game than Nottingham Forest at home. Better manager, better team. And then, of course, Brighton. Yes, of course, we should be beating Brighton, where we were better than them, creating more chances than them. But this was a Brighton team who, when we played them, they were top of the league, having started off very well, coached under a good manager, a good team. So, I mean, if you compare Arsenal, if you compare what we're doing this season to last season, yes, it's the same amount of points, but we're conceding less, right? We're conceding less goals, and we're doing it against harder opposition, and we're getting the results, right? Fair enough, Brighton, we didn't get the result we wanted, but we should have. Down to us. So what I'm saying is I'm putting these comparisons because there's always something to complain about. Because even last season, with the start you had people saying, oh man, at them times Arteta was trying this whole Partey right back thing, not playing Gabriel, Havertz in midfield. Some of them were absolute stinkers by him, granted. But like, all I'm saying is what we were saying about the team at this point last season is not what we were saying come toward the business end of the season. It was a much different conversation, right? The team's form changed, the team changed, Havertz went up front. The point I'm making is there's still a long season to be played, right? I'm not saying Arsenal are favourites, but I'm just saying, look, okay, cool. Haaland is banging in the goals, yes. City look ominous. They brought Gundogan back. We drew a game against Brighton, but like there legit is still a lot of the season left. All I'm saying is I'm comparing the 2 starts because I'm just highlighting us, there's always going to be something for us to moan about, right? And if you spend most of your time focusing on what to moan about, then you're going to be miserable, right? So I wanted to get that out of the way. But then to talk about the team, is this Arsenal team that we have this season better than the team we had last season? Well, absolutely, yes, it is. We may have less quantity in numbers, but there's definitely more quality. None of those that we let go in the transfer window none of those that we let go, right, are better than what we bought in, bar Ramsdale and Neto. And even that, Ramsdale's better than him, but not by much. Not really by much. And I rate Ramsdale, but Neto is a decent keeper, right? But anywho, that's a different story. Let me just analyze the team we have. And then I'm going to analyze the team we have, and I'm also going to look at those who left, look at the type of numbers they did to shut people up about this whole, like, we're going to be a bit short, all of this sort of stuff. Yeah, it looks like it, but we won't be. Let's look at the squad we have. If you look at this Arsenal team, there's probably about one really good and one good player that can actually play. Let's start with the keeper. You've got Raya. Raya is a good keeper, right? Neto is a decent keeper. The drop-off in quality it's big, but it's decent. He can do a job. Premier League proven, knows the league, has played in different leagues in Europe. He can do a job, right? So you've got them two. Right back, you've got Ben White and Yurian Timber. One is on the cusp of being world-class, in my opinion, and another one who's good, right? Yurian Timber, he can play there. Centre-back, we've got Saliba and we've got Gabriel. But who can cover them? Kivior and Calafiori. Kivior, decent to good. Calafiori, good. Left back, you've got Zinchenko and Timber and Tomiyasu, who can also play right back as well, who I also forgot about. So if you look at this team defensively, okay, we're stacked. That's good depth defensively. Now let's look at midfield. You look at the six. You got Declan Rice, who's the starting six. But who else can play there? Thomas Partey and Jorginho. They can play in the six. Then you've got and of course Miles Lewis-Skelly can play there as well. Then you got Odegaard in the attacking eight, the playmaker type of role. So Odegaard can play there, but then if Odegaard isn't there, right, we've got Nwaneri. The drop-off in quality is mad. It is mad. But let's be honest. Let's call a spade a spade. If you look at pre-season, who was getting more opportunities? It wasn't Vieira. It was Nwaneri. Who was doing better? Nwaneri. Now, yes, I know he's 17, right? But I'm not the only one that was clamoring for this guy to play more minutes, right? And the fact that Arteta has let Vieira go, it speaks volumes of the fact that he is okay to let someone like Vieira go, knowing that that Nwaneri's in the team, knowing that we'd be short there. So that's on the manager, but like, to be honest, I'm not mad at that. Because the truth is, Martin Odegaard, yeah, he got knocked, but he's gonna play a lot of games. He's gonna play a lot of games. You look at the the other eight position. We can do Mikel Merino there. He'll be the starting one, or you can do what we're gonna probably do against Spurs, put Jorginho there. Now, Merino, for me, he starts, right? Or you can even play Rice there. Like, there's an interchange with the midfield, right? But at the end of the day, if, let's say, Partey, Merino, and Rice all get injured, right? You can play, Rice, Merino, and Odegaard, because I believe that's going to be a starting midfield three when everyone's fit. If they're not available, you've got Thomas Partey, you got Jorginho, and you got Ethan. You got a nice mix of promising youth, and then you've got good experience, quality, right? And then you look at our forward line. You look at the starting striker. Last year we had Jesus and then Nketiah before Havertz was moved there as the striking options, right? So you got Jesus, who's a good player, but is unreliable. So when he gets injured, the drop-off in quality is mad. And then you play Eddie there, which is what we were doing. And then we were playing Havertz in midfield last season. Compare that to this season. Havertz is the starting striker, which means now, if Jesus is injured, we've got someone who's starting anyway. And Jesus is not the starting striker. So when he recovers, he comes in as a depth option up front. That's not a bad depth option up front, right? Right winger, you've got Nelson's gone, but now you've got Bukayo Saka. But now you've also got Raheem Sterling who can play there. And then you've got left wing, which is Martinelli and Trossard, right? Trossard, great clinical finisher in the box, but doesn't really. But truth be told, if you're looking like all rounder in terms of all phases of play, right? Trossard, he may not be the best as a starting striker, starting winger. Sorry, I think Sterling should actually get that nod because he's second best winger after Saka in the team, in my opinion. But if you look at that forward line, there's depth there. Now compare that to what we had last season. right? If Saka's not there, there's no Sterling. It's Reece Nelson. If Jesus isn't there, it's Nketiah. If Partey isn't there, if Partey is not playing, if Rice isn't playing, who do you look to? Mohamed El Neni, right? If yeah, like there's so many more. It just went out of my head, right? All I'm trying to say is there's quality. There's less quantity in numbers, but there's more quality. Yes, if you ask me, would you get rid of Nelson and Nketiah and then swap them for Sterling? Yes. A million times yes. If you ask me, would you swap ESR and Vieira, right? And we get like a proper eight. Yes, I do. Like Marino, it's annoying that he's injured, but and then just looking at the minutes that these fringe players did last season, I just looked at it because you got to get the facts. So Fabio Vieira, he played 561 minutes, right? And each match is 90 minutes. If you put all of these minutes across a standard full match, this equates to just over 6 matches. You think about ESR, right? He got 475 minutes last season. This equates to just over 5 full matches, right? Look at Nketiah, okay, he got 1,393 minutes, right? This equates to 15 matches, right? 4 matches. But there's a caveat with Nketiah, because there was a certain point at last season where he was starting games because we had no Jesus and Havertz was playing in midfield. When Havertz moved up top, Nketiah got no minutes, right? Or minimal minutes. You think about Reece Nelson, 731 minutes. This equates to just over 8 matches, right? So you mean to tell me, so if I'm just looking at the central midfield options, Vieira and ESR. So between altogether, that's 11 matches in terms of minutes they got last season. 11 starts from the start to 90. You mean to tell me Marino's going to play more than 11 matches? He's going to play a lot more. He's going to play a lot more. It's a long season. He's going to get a lot more than 11 matches. Reece Nelson, 8 full matches. You mean to tell me Raheem Sterling's not going to get more? He's 1,000% going to play more minutes than these. So all I'm saying here, guys, is we shouldn't be so quick to jump the gun. Not everything is what it seems, right? Yes, Arsenal may have less quantity, but we definitely have more quality. And if I'm looking at this team still, in my opinion, it absolutely has what it takes. It has what it takes to win the league. Now, City look ominous. They look like a juggernaut, but these things, they can change. The more I think about it, the more I'm going to why not back the boys? Why not back us? It's only 3 games in. It's only 3 games in. Like, I see no reason why this team cannot compete. I'm looking at Liverpool's team under a good manager, Arne Slot. I expect them to do some damage this season. In terms of a title challenge, I'm not sure, but I expect them to do some damage, right? Why? Because they got a good squad with a good manager. We've got a good squad. I would arguably say we've got a better squad, because if you look at us midfield and defense, we're a better team than Liverpool. Probably offense, they maybe have better plays. And I say that purely because of the striking options they got. Because Salah is, as good as Saka is, Salah's better than him. Jota, I'd rather have Havertz or Jota. That's a debate. Because Havertz is a good player now and he offers a lot. So, yeah. And so the way I see it is, why can't Arsenal do it? And even on the Havertz thing, right? I was watching an interview that Havertz did with Rio Ferdinand, right? Hear me out on this one. This may sound deluded, right? I don't think it is. But Havertz could be the next Robin van Persie for Arsenal. Now, I don't mean that in terms of saying, oh yeah, he's going to get the same amount of goals. RVP goes down in like Arsenal folklore before he snaked and went to Man United. But what I mean in that, obviously when Van Persie came to Arsenal, he was people forget he was bought as a winger, stroke second striker. And for his first couple of seasons at Arsenal, he played as the winger, right? And then Emirates era, he kind of got that second striker nod when we were still doing 4-4-2, playing behind Henry, and then the season after when we were playing off of Adebayor, right? And then when we kind of switched to a 4-3-3 in 08-09 season, stroke 4-4-2, Van Persie would start as the striker sometimes, right? When Adebayor would get injured, when we played the 4-3-3. I remember games where he started as a striker. I remember the 2-1 away to Chelsea when Chelsea were winning 1-0 at Stamford Bridge. Where Van Persie scores the equaliser with his right foot, slaps it home, and then Adebayor gives a nod on, and then he what's the word I'm looking for? He hits the ball on the swivel, right, and he scores. And then, of course, you see the progression. The 09-10 season, Van Persie was the starting striker, but then he got injured. Right? And then you see 10-11 season where the goals were coming in, where you're like, okay, cool, this guy's mad. Where he just switched on and was packing the goals away. Then you think about the 11-12 season, his last season, he was packing the goals away. Like, Van Persie was always a good striker of the ball, but his finishing ability, his movement, everything, it increased the more he played as a striker. Now, why am I saying this could be the case with Havertz? Because say what you want about him, the hunger for goals is there. The clear improvement in my man is there. But what I like about Havertz is his movement. His movement. You got good managers, Arteta, Nagelsmann, talking about the ability and the potential he has. I'm not saying here, oh yeah, he's going to go down in Arsenal history. He could. But all I'm saying is that in terms of his development, I'd see Havertz getting us like 20, 25 goals this season. He could get us that. I see no reason why he can't, right? And if he can get 20, 25 this season, and then he gets a penchant, he gets a knack for it, what's to say he can't get? What's to say he can't get more the season after? You just never know, right? And then from a spiritual point of view, before I close out, I want to urge fans, don't stop. You know, I'm learning something really powerful in the Bible. I won't go into the details because it's kind of hard for me to break it down, but there's a scripture I was reading, right? And basically, it's in 2 Kings chapter 13. And basically, the prophet Elisha, he pretty much like prophesies victory for God's people. And basically, he's talking to the king of Israel at the time. And the king of Israel has to shoot and basically has a bow and a set of arrows, right? And Elisha tells him to shoot the arrows because the arrows represent victory that God is going to give Israel. And basically, he only shoots, and Elisha tells him, shoot, strike the ground. So this king, he only shoots it 3 times. And then the prophet Elisha is angry at him, saying, why did you only shoot 3 times? You're going to defeat your enemy 3 times. But if you had shot the arrows 5 or 6 times, you could have completely destroyed them. And it got me thinking, man, like, wow, he stopped short. This king, he had 5 or 6 arrows to shoot from, but he only shot 3, right? I'm thinking, why did you stop at 3, bro? Maybe did you believe that was enough? Maybe did you believe that it wasn't really going to happen? I don't know. But from that lesson, I learned, man, how many times in life do people stop short? What does it mean to stop short? To stop just before you're about to reach your goal, your target or objective, right? And I believe a lot of fans stop when issues hit, when problems hit. This is not just a football thing. This is a life thing, right? Like, why stop when there's adversity? Why stop when there's issues? Okay, if there's issues, keep doing what you're doing. Like, and let's say you take a knock. Let's say you get a setback. Get back up and keep doing what you're doing. Just don't stop. Don't stop believing. Don't stop working. Don't stop persevering. Don't stop doing the things you need to do just because there's setback. And this is the culture we live in now. Setback, let me stop. Why stop? Why stop? Why not take a rest and then keep going again? So I'm saying this to basically say, I think I'm just going to go back to actually believing that we're going to win the league. I think I'm just going to go back to doing that. You can call it toxic positivity. I don't think it's toxic positivity. I just think there's only 3 games into the season. I say that to all I'm not going to stop. I'm just going to say, you know what, let's go for it. So and this is not just a football thing. This is, for me, this is just a life thing. You know, like, am I going to stop when there's issues? Or no, you just keep going. You just keep going and you just keep going. Anywho, that's my rambling over. Please tune into the video I'm going to put out on Friday, where I'm actually going to be looking at certain formations, what different tactical setups that we could have ahead of the Spurs game, which I think we can win, regardless of who's out or regardless of what setup we go with. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for listening. Hope you have a wonderful day. Take care. Goodbye.